Welcome to another episode of Inspired Voices. My name is Oliver Riera, and this is Chris Facey.
How you doing, Oliver?
Thanks for being here, man.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Why don't you tell everybody what you do?
Oh, well, as you already said, my name is Chris Facey. I'm your friendly neighborhood photographer, documentarian, visual storyteller, if you will. I got here, I'm here from New York, living now in North Carolina, and I'm still making the adjustments, but
Okay.
my camera is getting me where I need to go with it.
Yeah, that's the beauty of having something like that, right?
It's the passport for real.
Yeah, right.
I appreciate that.
So you were from New York?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
How was it growing up there, man?
Almost like, I don't know, have you ever seen the movie Crooklyn by Spike Lee?
Damn, I haven't.
You haven't?
Oh, you know what? I think I saw like half of it or something.
You
like
might.
that.
It's like that. It's like any of the old school Spike Lee joints. It was like that.
Okay, yeah.
It was essentially like that growing up, especially in the '90s. Being in Brooklyn and New York in general was kind of teaches you how to hustle and grind and keep this little extra layer to yourself of grit. So I appreciate having that. And then coming here with it has been a little different because the South hasn't been as abrasive.
Right.
As New York
People have a little
is.
bit more time on their hands to do
I would say that.
some things.
I would say that.
I think every time I love talking to people from New York, man, because like it's just like you said, like got that this grit, this the shell to them, but like it really brings a certain confidence to them, especially when they're moving down south or somewhere a little bit more rural and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I think every New Yorker should leave. I think they should leave New York, go somewhere else completely different for a little while, and if you want to come back, come back.
Interesting.
Yeah, New York is it's so many things there, so many different walks of life there. You kind of feel like you have the whole world in your city,
Right?
but it's not truly that in the true sense of things.
Yeah.
So it's very fast paced there. You got to constantly be on go. You feel like you're missing out if you're not everywhere. But moving somewhere else that's completely different gives you opportunity. At least for myself, it's giving me opportunity to like sit and really think. Sit with myself with these ideas, with these thoughts, anything I'm feeling. Like New York doesn't really give you the time for that.
Right. Yeah. The kind of like that peace and like.
Yeah, you need that for a little while. If not for a long time, at least a little bit.
Yeah. At least to experience it, you know.
Yes.
Were you like an artsy person when you were little or anything like that?
Yeah, growing up, you could say I was always the creative one. I wrote poems. I used to rap as well as a kid. That's really where it started.
Yeah.
I did a lot of graffiti. I would draw. I started drawing first, and then started getting into graffiti, which my mom would. She's not really a fan. But,
Yeah, you were so you were like a nighttime person then.
Yeah, I was just a creative individual. Like my mom ended up getting a job at the Met, at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and I would spend a lot of time there. And you don't know until hindsight how much you really took in. And I took in a lot of that, and I've always just been that. I just had to have some type of creative outlet. So while I was in the Army, I needed a creative outlet. Rap wasn't going to be that. You know, I didn't know enough people there to see if they're going to be receptive to trying to even find out where like some type of spoken word spots are at or something like that. I had to figure it out, and I just went through that process and stumbled on photography.
Yeah.
And just stuck.
Okay. All right. So let's take it back a little bit more. So let's get back into like the kid era when you were being creative and stuff like that. So obviously, so you had just friends that did graffiti and art like that, and that's how you got into it, kind of thing.
In New York, you're gonna always see it. You know, you always see graffiti on the walls, and some people walk right past it, others don't. I kind of was curious, trying to learn more, and then a video game, Mark Echo's Getting Up, came out, and it kind of broke down the hierarchy of graffiti, what it meant. Like it was this really nice subculture community. I was like, I want in. I want in.
All right.
And I would go to school, I would talk to my friends about it, I would practice in notebooks and all of these different things. And some of my friends got inspired by it. They wanted to get in on it. So like we had our own little crew of people doing things.
Yeah.
Back then, when doing it, you knew it was wrong, but it was like, catch me if you can, which was part of the allure to graffiti.
Yeah, it's like an adrenaline rush, right?
Yeah, and I had a lot of other things going on growing up, questions that I might have had about life as a teenager, you know how it goes. And I just feel like that could just block me away from having to think about that. Like, I just got to focus on this right now, and then I can worry about whatever else later.
Yeah.
So it allowed that, and I give that to just being creative in general, because find a way. Either I was practicing, sketching, catching a tag, a throw, or something going all over the place. And it was cool, but you get arrested enough times to realize it's not worth it.
It's not sustainable or anything.
It's not worth it.
Well, it can be in a way, right?
Now,
you got those right.
I wish somebody would have really sat me down and was like, hey, let's see where we can take this. Because nobody really, when I was drawing out Dragon Ball Z characters and stuff, nobody was like, oh, let's nurture this and let's see what we can try to, get you to do. Here's some jobs that you can do. Like, I asked the teacher at one point in school, I think it was middle school, about, art career type of thing. And she was like, oh, you're not gonna be able to do nothing with that. Same thing when I said I wanted to be a doctor. That's not really a job. I'm like, what? Like, so nobody really pushed that.
Right, right. What kind of style did you have as an artist?
It was, well, when I was writing, doing graffiti and stuff, it was a very raw New York style, very rugged hand styles. Yeah. Like bombing was my main thing. Like I was just trying to get my name up everywhere. That was really how I was getting down. And I also had that New York attitude. Like, yeah, you're gonna see me. Like you're gonna see me here. You're gonna see me there. You're gonna see me because I worked to get there. So that's kind of how it was. But it was also what I also liked about it, like, was the community collaborative effort of it all. Being able to have something else I can join in with my group of friends who are still my friends today. Being able to meet other people that are involved in it, seeing their different walks of life. And that's how I ended up meeting different graffiti artists from like Philly and London and LA. I started meeting different people and started getting more. It's
a close-knit
knit
community, right?
It's a really dope community to have in it because at everybody's core, they just expressing themselves. They just another artist, and this just happens to be how it works. Now, street art is what it's called, and it's more socially accepted now. And sometimes you can move into neighborhoods that's covered in graffiti, and that like raises the value of it.
Right.
It's kind of interesting to see that.
Yeah, it is interesting. Murals especially, right? So, did you ever get into trouble with that?
Oh yeah, I got arrested 2-3 times for that.
Yeah.
I think.
Talk to me about the first one.
Oh boy, how did the first one go?
First time get arrested, that's like probably the most nerve-wracking.
The first one, it's kind of crazy because I could have just went home. So a friend and I skipped school. We went to a spot in the city called the Scrap Yards where they sell all the graffiti books, markers, pens, spray paint. It's just everything for graffiti. The whole culture was in that store. Yeah. And it was at the time where if you weren't 18 or older, you wasn't supposed to have like paint markers and all of these things. But they sold it to us anyway. Okay. Shout out to them though. We got back to the train station and my friend says, hey, I don't have any money to get on the train. I just spent it all in there. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna swipe my card, go through the turnstile with me. Okay. Cool. I go to swipe the card. Instead of him just being a normal person and walking through the turnstile, he like jumps on there screaming, making it all its fun. Oh, shit. And graffiti police, because they know that's a high traffic graffiti area because of the store, they had a department, I guess a squad called Vandal Squad, which it was their job to just get people that's doing vandalism, essentially. So it was behind the wall, and when he did that, they heard that, they just wanted to see what it was, and they seen it was 2 kids, so now they're gonna come check us. Yeah. And then when they check us, we got all of these graffiti paraphernalia that we're not supposed to have, we're underage to have, so they arrest us. And that opens up an investigation on different tags that they seen. They started tallying up.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it started.
Kind of like a gang member or something.
Yeah, because it's always a disconnect between the law and what's really going on sometimes. Yeah. So it's just like, they don't know. They think everything's gang. So they're going through, and we have like pretty much a lot of stuff on us. Like we have our black books where you practice a lot of your styles and your different things, or when you meet other writers. And they're going through asking us, who's these people? When we seen this before, who's this guy? And this, and I'm from where I'm from. I'm just not saying nothing. Like I don't know who none of these people are. I don't know who's talking about. I found this book. I'm for the police. Yeah. And then they held us. It wasn't really much they could do, but they held us. Overnight and
overnight?
Yeah, I guess they was gonna call. I guess they thought they was gonna call my mom to come get me, but they had already like released me by the time she was ready to come out. And this was in Manhattan. And I just made it home. I knew how to ride the trains. I got there. Yeah. I just went home, but by the time I got home, my mom was on her way back because I guess they had went. My mom and his mom had went to try to get us, but I was already here.
Gotcha.
So once they opened up that investigation, they came and got me from school the second time. I guess they found some more tags while I had community service or whatever they were saying they found.
Damn.
Had to do community service. And then another time, which was, really had nothing to do with me other than the fact that I had the marker after somebody used it. So a friend of mine asked for the marker. I gave it to him. He caught the tag, gave it back. And as we walked like half a block, and then the police pull up in the detective car, and they're like, hey, we just seen y'all catch a tag. We got it on tape. We got this, this, and this, and this. And I'm like, all right, bro, we going. I guess we got to go, right? Like, we don't know what they got. And then we get to court, and which I think should be changed. But I got there, and I didn't really have no counsel or representation or nothing like that. And so when they asked me if I had any words, I asked the judge if there was, I said, well, they said there was a tape that they were going to play. Can we see this tape? Because the tape would show you that I did nothing wrong. Like, I didn't. The officer stands up and says, we never said we had a tape. We never had this. We never had that. I was just like, oh,
man,
another one of those stories.
Yeah, yep.
And it just was what it was. And I think that was one of the last times I really seen disappointment in my mom's face. But she also felt like they was picking on me at the same time. Because like, you came to my school and made it even worse. Like,
right.
So
did they take your books or anything like that?
They took them and took pictures and things. They took the markers and stuff, obviously. But when they came to the school to get me, it kind of exposed a lot of other stuff, being like, oh, he was the one also catching tags in the school too. So, that was you this whole time. Man. So like, it started this whole whirlwind. I took the rap for a couple of some other friends who was down with it. I said that was me as well, so that nobody got in trouble. And ultimately, the universe just looked out and it wasn't bad. It just held me. My mom had to come get me.
Yeah,
that was really the gist of that one.
Right.
After that, it gets old real quick.
Yeah,
it gets old real quick. You get tired of seeing.
Are you just like in a holding cell?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was like in like central bookings. They'll just hold you there. It's not the coolest thing ever at all. It's hard with grilled cheese and it's right. Like, you realize you don't want to do this again. Like, I don't want to do this. This is not worth it.
Did you say that after the third time?
I said that both times. The third time, one of the out of the three times, they just held me I was in a different part of Brooklyn, so it was a much cleaner thing. And I was in there by myself, and my mom just came and got me, and then we left. But the first two times was like a really nasty little holding cell. You in there with like, you in there with some people. You be like, yo, bro, I'm not this bad.
Right.
I'm not this bad. Bro.
Yeah, something's gonna change on that. Well, damn. So after the third time, you just kept doing it and just never got caught?
Oh, nah. Because I still had to get this creative energy out. I mean, I stopped particularly going out catching tags on the walls and on trucks and stuff like that. Started focusing more on stickers, and then I ended up being able to be a part of this. I don't know where this book is at today, but there was this group where we would draw on the stickers, do our designs or whatever. Yeah. Put it in the book, and then you mail the book off to somebody else, and then they would make a sticker or something and put it in the book. And last time I checked, when I was that young, it was like in London. Like, damn. It made it to London, and so it's out there. So I kind of always kept that, and I'll just sketch it out every now and then on some tracing paper, to life or whatever. But it was something that was so important to me at the time, because that was like my real first form of self-expression that I could do on my own. It's my own thing, and when you see it, you got to see me. So I guess that just stuck.
It's stickers.
The graffiti lifestyle in general kind of just stuck, because I kind of apply that now to my artistic approach with photography.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that for sure. So when you got into drawing stickers and stuff like that, what made you go that route?
Because I started noticing them power washing things off the wall. Like, your whole life could be gone. Well, not your whole life, but you could put a major dent in your life for something that's not even going to be there for as long as you would be away. You know what I mean? Like, they were power washing stuff the very next day. It wasn't like the golden days of graffiti, like the people that was like in the 80s that had it. Yeah. 70s and 80s that had it really. It was more common. They had better tools to just like whitewash. You wasn't even really tagging trains anymore. So they would whitewash it off. You'd be like, man, this is not even worth it. But stickers would be around. They were easier to transport. You didn't have to have paraphernalia on you, because
it's not really illegal either.
With the sticker, you know. So that worked out. It made it easier to make, to switch your trade around with friends and stuff for your black book. Yeah, it was just a different lifestyle. For me, it was just cool to have that.
Throughout that experience, did you ever think about what a long-term goal would be? or anything like that? Or is it just that doing it for fun?
Nah, I was just doing it for fun. I enjoyed doing it. I was always was drawing, you know, from Dragon Ball Z characters, Looney Tune characters, from people in school and stuff. Like, I enjoyed it. It was when I enjoyed it. I enjoyed being able to create something.
Where'd you get that artistic ability, though? Was it like a family member or something?
I wouldn't be able to tell you, bro.
Gotcha. It's just what you saw around
it's
you.
It's just what I was, like who I am as a person. Like, I just wanted to make stuff. And I think a lot of that is when you're a kid that you get to explore some of these things to see. And no, my mom didn't have me like no art camp or anything like that, but she did encourage us to read. And, you know, she definitely made sure that we had an understanding of what life was outside of the threshold once we go outside in the world and things like that. So that causes somebody to have to grow up a little bit faster than most.
Sure,
so
especially in New York.
So you're looking at the world a little bit different, but you start picking up on the things that do make you feel good. You know, so it was, for me, that was poetry. Poetry came after rapping when I found out like it was kind of like a similar thing.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I was like, this is kind of the same. I don't need to use a beat to do this, which was cool. I did that, and like I said, I was already always drawing. It was already something. And that, actually, my mom did do her best, I want to say, to try to encourage that. She would buy like the pencils, the set and stuff, but it wasn't like, oh, here's another artist that you should meet or talk to, or here's somebody that I know that's doing it, or, you know, it wasn't none of that. It was like, here's some more pencils and stuff. You seem like you know what you're doing, do it, you know?
Right.
And I'm thankful to her for that and allowing me. And today she's one of my biggest supporters, you know, to be a creator. But that's not always the best for parents. That like you tell them you want to take an art route and it just
Ooh, not a lot of money in that, but
you know. But you show up and you prove that it's worth it.
Yeah.
And you can't argue with the proof. You
right.
know?
Yeah.
So,
exactly. Yeah. And so what happened after high school? Did you go like straight into college or anything like that, or?
Yeah, I didn't want to. I thought
or the Army? I know you went to the Army.
Yeah, I went to the Army as a super grown individual. After high school, I thought I was just gonna like work. I was like excited to the fact that like I'm not gonna have to do no homework anymore. Like I didn't want to do nothing. I just wanted to work.
Right.
And one of my aunts were telling me like, they were like, if you don't go, you know, now, you're probably never gonna go. Like, you're probably not gonna want to go because you're gonna get so used to not being in school and this and that. And because they were older, and one of those two aunts went. Well, actually, no, they both went to college. She was, you know, I was like, yeah, but they would know, you know. Ultimately, so I applied one or two. One school I got in. Actually, I got in both, but one of them was much more willing with their scholarship money. Okay. So that worked out, and that was the College of Westchester.
How'd you get the scholarship? Was it art?
I think it was something about it's like a test or something that I took beforehand, or something that worked out.
All right.
I ain't gonna argue, but I still had student loans with that, you know, as well. It wasn't like paid for everything, but it was student loans. And school was never an issue for me, you know. So it was just college. It was something. It was something else. I was on the superintendent's list, the dean's list. It wasn't like really. I never found school difficult.
Gotcha.
Right.
Oh man, I wish I could say the same.
Yeah, it was. Bro, I was just annoyed with going, and there was a spurt in high school where, you know, my grades were going down, but that's because they had nothing to do with the school. It was just I just wasn't going to class, and I was starting to get real bored with school and wanted, you know, that teenage rebellion that you kind of got to go through. Yeah. So I went through that, but then
were you the kind of kid that was never studied but always got A's and stuff like that?
Yeah, you could say that. That's like 90% of the time, because my mom would try to make us study, you know, and like I don't know if I could call it studying if I know what I'm, you know, if I know what I'm doing right here. Like, I'm not really trying to figure something out. I know how this works. Yeah. But we did it, and I'm again thankful to her for that, because I think that also helped make sure you know how to keep some type of level of discipline. So that worked out. So I ended up going to two different high schools. I went to high school in Brooklyn up until my senior year, but the beginning of my senior year, I ended up living with my aunt in Westchester County, which is about an hour, 2 hours or so away from Brooklyn. And I ended up finishing my last year out there, which was a whole new world for me, because here I am coming from Brooklyn, where the school had metal detectors and all of this, to a school that lets me leave for lunch.
Right.
It was weird. It was really weird.
And that was the first time outside of the city?
No, I've been outside of the city before, but I was living outside of the city now. Yeah. You know, so that would be my first time living outside of the city.
It's like a culture shock, right?
I wasn't. That part was. The school part definitely was like, yo, what is happening right here? Like, it's not that far away from Brooklyn, but like it's almost like a difference. But it wasn't shocking, you know.
Right,
it was just like, oh, all right, cool. Like y'all do more of the high school that I've seen on TV. Y'all got lockers. Like we didn't have that.
Right.
And it was cool. It was cool. I appreciated that. And I'm thankful for that also because I was able to, if I never left Brooklyn and moved to Yonkers, I don't think it would have ever made me think about getting a car and then get that car making me want to travel and learning, having these different experiences, traveling. It was a lot.
Yeah.
You know, it was a lot trying to figure that out.
Yeah. So how was your artistic, what were you doing in college as far as artistic?
Oh, I went to school for business administration, management, and marketing.
Uh-huh.
I got my associates in that.
Do you know why?
I just thought it would be something. I thought I wanted to run my own business. Still think I want to run my own business. Still do run my own business. I just thought it would be good information to have going into the working world. You know, I was, as much as I wanted to be a creative, I still was thinking that you needed to have this because all of the old folks around me, the older individuals around me were telling me, like, yeah, you need something solid and this is what's solid. That's not, before doing my own research, you know.
Right.
So I did that, I accomplished that, and I don't think I did anything that really required me to use.
Right.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah.
I got jobs and I was working and doing these different jobs. And they were cool. Everything from file room clerk to I worked in a warehouse making checks. Like in the little physical machine that prints on the checks, the little routing and account numbers on the bottom. I had to print those through a print and press machine. It was kind of crazy.
Interesting.
But I did that. I ended up being a dodgeball ref, not a coach, a dodgeball ref. Like I was just doing all these different types of jobs to kind of like, you know, make ends meet. And it got to a point where it was just like frustrating. My daughter needed a lot. She's a kid, you know, kids need.
How old was your daughter at that point?
Oh, shoot. I left to go to the Army in 2014. She had to be about 3-ish, maybe. Yeah, 3. She had to be 3.
Yeah. Well, damn, dude. When did you have? So you had her when?
She was born when I was 19.
When you were 19?
Yeah.
How was that experience for you? Because that's young, right?
Some people say that they would have been scared or nervous. I wasn't really scared or nervous, you know, upon finding out. It was just a shock of how I found out, which was very interesting. And I was cool. Like, you know, I was cool with it. I did have some questions. Obviously, I had some spats with the family about how to make things happen, but ultimately, pushed through. She's about to be 15 this year, so like,
wow,
we do fine. She's fine. She's great. She's smart, extremely intelligent. She's also creative when she chooses to tap into it. But right now, she's a teenager trying to
find herself.
Trying to navigate things.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's something. I mean, some people would be a little bit scared about. Oh shit, how am I going to provide and shit like that? You know, that kind of thing.
See, that's the thing. I'm a problem solver, right? So like, where there's a problem, yes, I see that there's a problem. I understand that there's a problem, but I need solutions because I can't just sit here and wander in the problem, you know? So I had to figure out. I had just finished, right after that, I had just finished up. Right before she was born, I had just finished up with college, that school. Yeah. And like I said, I was doing all those jobs, and then I ended up going to the Army because it was like the last resort. And at that point, I was 24 years old. 24 years old. First time on a plane. And I'm going to boot camp.
First time as in, the last resort as in, I need to provide for my daughter and myself and da-da-da.
Yeah, I got to make something shake because New York wasn't giving anything. None of the surrounding counties or anything was. It was really difficult trying to find a job that was going to pay enough money to make things happen. I had a car as well. So, you know, you got to make these payments on, not car payments per se, but just the upkeep of a car. Yeah. And I had an older vehicle at the time before I switched. And it was like, all right, I got to figure something out. I got to figure something out. Yeah.
Do you think that you were like a kind of like rock bottom at that point? Maybe financially or something like that?
I would say financially, you could say I might have been rock bottom because I didn't have any money coming in. Right. You know, and then the one job that I had, they kept cutting hours. And then it's like, yo, bro, I'm driving 2 hours to get to you for you to cut my hours. I'm not really trying to deal with this. So I had to let that go. And that's when I was just like, all right, I'm gonna just go, see what happens. Told them I need to go as soon as possible. What y'all got for me? I spoke to them in January, signed the contract. No, excuse me. I talked to them in the beginning of January, signed the contract by mid-January. February, I was gone after my birthday.
Wow.
Gone already.
So like there's not really any process of thinking about it, right? There's just like
because leading up to that, it was already a process of me trying to figure out solutions leading up to before I decided to make that. So when I made that decision, I already knew, all right, this is what I want. This is what I'm gonna have to do, and let's just take it from there. I don't know what to expect, but I'm here for it. My whole life has been from foster care to this here, that whole timeline has just been me overcoming. You know? At that point, you just be like, all right, you just ready for whatever happens. You just gotta get through it. That's how I see it.
Yeah, that makes you solution based.
Yeah, so I just navigated. Did my time in the Army, ended up getting hurt. My back, I got a little back injury. And
Oof. You don't want to say why?
Nah, I'm home now. I'm chilling.
Yeah.
I'm chilling.
Gotcha. How long were you in the Army for?
For about 4 years.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. It was. I think, as far as that experience, when I met some great people.
Yeah.
I met some interesting people.
Yeah, because you meet people all over from all over the US.
I've met people that have never seen snow before, bro. I never thought I'd meet somebody that never seen snow. Very interesting. I met people that have never seen black people before in their lives. I dealt with a lot of racism in the Army. I didn't think that wasn't even going to be there because I had this other idea, like there was going to be this like big brotherhood, some camaraderie. But like, I can count on one hand how many of those people I still talk to today that I spent some time with there that are like really good friends.
Was the racism like kind of what you see in the movies and stuff like that?
Nah. It was more like, hey sir, I'm thinking about becoming an officer and instead of being enlisted. What do you think about? Oh, you know how your people are.
Gotcha.
What you mean? What you mean, sir? So yeah, that was
explain yourself.
Yeah, it was wild walking around the neighborhoods. Well, that city's Walmart. Walmart's a big store. It's a Walmart supercenter at that time, at least the one I was at. And I'm being followed around the whole Walmart.
Yeah.
For what?
Right.
For what?
Right.
Got it. Like, I understood where I was at. And that was only upstate New York. That was even further, like maybe 45 minutes or an hour away from Canada.
Oh, damn.
Is where I ended up initially being stationed at.
Right.
It's Fort Drum, New York. And got through that, pushed through that, had some leadership that might have been racist or had racist tendencies. But again, solution-based. I just get through that. Like, I'm not really too concerned.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like you're the type of person that kind of like everything is temporary. You know, there's always
It took a while to get there, to be honest with you, because these things would take a toll on me. A lot of problems would take a toll on me. And I spent a lot of years and a lot of time in my life trying to figure out what it is that I wanted. And once I realized that I'm really on this quest for peace, you start realizing different ways to think about things. Like, you can only be honest about how you feel, but you got to remember tomorrow's not promised. So do you want to be stressing about that today and don't have tomorrow to fix it or whatever? So I've been really I'm a human, I'm fallible. So I don't always hit it the best.
Right.
But most times I take a minute, I assess. It's like, I got to center myself. I got to find my peace. That was part of moving to North Carolina. Like, my daughter seen that I wasn't even happy. Daddy, you're not happy here, you know? And I had to find that peace, and I'm here.
You think you found a lot of, you think you learned a lot from your daughter?
Oh yeah, by heaps and bounds. I learned stuff from I have two daughters, so I learned a lot about life and parenthood and just trying to navigate them, especially the most with them in their teenage years. Like, you know, this is a lot, bro, you know, because you don't want to be too overprotective.
Right.
But you also don't want to just let the reins go fully. Got to find some understanding because, you know, they're getting older, they're getting ready to go out into the world, and the things that you're teaching them, they're going to have to apply. But if they're showing you right now that they can't even understand that, it's like, oh, I'm worried. I'm worried, you know, but I also let my daughters know, like, this is where you're writing your story. As a teenager, high school is where you start writing your story in life because you're going to start referring back to this a lot in life. Oh, and this time in high school, and it was this, and I thought, this is what we was wearing. It's going to be a big chunk, a major part of your life.
Yeah.
You know, so decisions that you can make here could affect your whole life.
Right.
It's very important that you understand that.
That's a good way to put it too. Not just like the decisions you make in the classroom or something like that, like academically. Like no. It's everything else.
Yep, I had to talk with my daughter about that last night. We had that conversation. Like I'm extremely proud of them doing what they got to do in school. That's kind of what you're supposed to do. I applaud you because I know it's not always easy. I'm more concerned about you being a good human being. You know, book smarts is one thing, but common sense is another.
Yep.
I can't leave this earth and leave another knucklehead on this planet. You know, like I don't want to be responsible for that. Y'all have too much potential. Let's just tap into that. Let's nurture that. Try to make better decisions. Work on making better decisions.
Is there certain things that you would do to help them with that?
Just talk with them and explain to them about a time that I may have been in that situation, or somebody that's close to me may have been in that situation that they know, and you know what choices we made and what consequences it was for them choices, or what was the rewards for those choices, and you know, let them know that we don't even, as an adult, don't have it figured out.
Right.
You know, I definitely don't expect you to have it figured out. You guys got to fight the internet.
Yeah.
I remember a world before the internet.
Yeah.
So I know what going outside really mean. I didn't need that.
Right.
They don't have that. And I also understand the type of effect that it's having on today's children. And it's like, if you don't fight that as a parent or something, you don't stand down and put your foot down on it, technology will raise your kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and they're not getting all of the time good information. So.
Yeah, I think it's also about like that situational awareness that they need to learn as well.
Yeah.
Like the environment around you, what's going on, you know, stuff like that.
So you talking now, brother. Another conversation I've had recently with my daughter about her taking the bus. Hey, you got to take the bus to school. And she wanted to know why. And it's like, you have to learn about being in uncomfortable places in this world, how to deal with different personalities, also respect people's boundaries, but also know your boundaries limits. You got to know how to navigate these things, because life is not going to be perfect. You're not going to be able to always call somebody to pick you up to take you to school. It's not going to always be a cab to get you where you got to go. Sometimes you're going to be faced with adversity. What you're going to do about that? You can be mad at me as you want. I'm not your friend. I'm your father. You see, like, my job is to teach you, make sure you're good. You got the rest of your life to make all the friends you need to make. I need to make sure you're good. You know, fatherhood means a lot to me. It's a big chunk of who I am. If my relationships with my daughters could be even better, I would love for that to happen. But right now, that's just the cycle. Teenage girls.
Right.
I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
But, you know, at the core, I love them, and I want them to do right. I want them to be good, because again, like I said before, I'm not promised tomorrow.
Right.
I need to know that y'all got something from me. You hold on to something. Yeah, Daddy said, he said. Because I now as an adult, I hear all the time, my mother said, my dad said. Like, you hear it as an adult. As a kid, you don't hear it because you're not an adult yet, you know?
Right.
Don't mean you can't try to understand. Some kids are very advanced. They can understand things. But
so you put them in situations like riding the bus, they have to ride the bus and stuff like that?
yeah, ride the bus. Get on the bus.
Interesting.
Right.
Is that something like where it's like a one-time thing, or like get comfortable with it?
Yeah, because you can be doing this a while.
Right.
Yeah, that's it's high school.
Know the ins and outs of it. You know,
She only has to be on the bus for 30 minutes. I used to have to be on the bus and the train for an hour and a half, 2 hours. You will be okay. You will be okay.
Okay.
But you have to know these things. You know, I was outside way before my daughter was outside. You know?
Sure. Yeah.
My mom had us out there doing laundry and stuff with a little shopping cart, 6, 7 years old. You're gonna do some, you know, you start learning those things, and you know, you don't have to always put those things on kids, because I think that makes them grow up a little bit too fast. But you also have to let them know that as you grow older, your list of responsibilities grow too. There's more expected of you.
Yeah.
And that gets difficult for them to grasp, because you know they're growing.
Right.
So they're used to you doing everything, to not sure if they really want you to be around helping them with everything. So they think they can do it themselves, and then they realize the next level of now you need parent 2.0. Like now we're here now at this stage.
Right.
You know? So it's always been interesting, but through that I learned more patience, because I thought I had a good amount of patience, but you learn more. Started understanding the world around them, what type of things that they're struggling with in the world, and how that differs from what may have been when I was a teenager, because they will have a new set of problems because it's a new world.
Yeah.
So I try to be open to that, trying to get an understanding of what's going on. Just be clear to have conversation. They help me be a little bit more communicative, but just with them, really. I don't really talk to too many people like that outside, because I'm always on the go. But with my kids, you got to find the time, you know. So I find the time, I sit down, I try to discuss with them, and when I can, even when they don't want to be talkative, I make sure I let them know that, you know, I'm here. You know? So if you do change your mind and you want something to talk about, 'cause I know how teens are, y'all gonna go to your friends who don't know nothing either.
Right. Yeah.
But you got it. Just know that you got a supporting team.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like you got a good head on your shoulders, man.
I try, man. I love my kids, bro. That's everything I'm doing. I'm trying to do for them. I'm trying to leave a legacy behind for them. That at least they have some type of foundation, you know, to stand on.
I get that. So you were in the Army, and then when did you find photography? Was it after the Army?
No, it was in the Army.
It was in the Army.
I need some type of creative outlet.
Yeah.
And
so what drove you to that point?
I came home on leave to see one of my best friends, and he told me that he paid X amount of dollars to some dude to take pictures of a shirt he made. Me, still very naive about the craft. What? Why would you pay that much money for somebody to take a picture of you with a shirt? You crazy, bro? I could have did it on my phone. Are you nuts? He said, I bet next time you could do it. Cool. He said, matter of fact, my mom got this camera. If you want to hold this down, you can hold this down, you know, practice or whatever the case. All right, I'll take it. Next time I come down, we get these shots off. I took it back with me to Fort Drum. I'm learning more about photography. I'm YouTubing, YouTube University, trying to figure these things out. And I start realizing that the camera that I'm using is not the best camera to use right now. But as I'm learning, I'm only knowing that because I'm learning more. I'm like, oh, okay, I see this is that. And the more I learned, the more deeper in the hole I fell, the more in love with it I fell. And I was like, all right, cool. I gotta get my own camera. This camera's cool, but I gotta get my own.
Right. You know,
do
you know what about it that you loved?
Being able to, well, at that moment, no. It wasn't, I seen it as just something that I can learn to do where I can make some money.
Okay.
And I just needed to know how to work the camera and what was what. But as I was figuring that out, it started being more interesting. Like, I don't have this, that makes it do that. Okay, so I had to get my own camera. I asked around the barracks to see if they anybody had a camera. Nobody really had a camera. I mean, 2015, 2016, people, they own everything on the phone.
Right.
So I got what you call a military star card. It's like a credit card for service members. And I got that card, and it was just the right amount for everything I needed: a camera, a lens, a SD card, and a bag.
Oh, okay.
It was just enough. So, all right. I got the camera, but I had to pay it off. So I'm doing portrait sessions. I'm looking on YouTube on how to do portrait sessions and maternity shoots. And I'm helping other soldiers with their maternity shoots and engagement shots and all of these things. And I pay off the camera fairly quickly, actually.
Okay, so you were doing it as a paid gig?
Okay. I was on the weekends, on off days or whatever, or after the day was over. But I would always keep the camera with me, taking little pictures of things here and there, like how everybody else started. Oh, look, a flower, a tree, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Learning the feel for the camera.
Did you feel like you were ready for paid gigs like that?
I thought it was easy enough, to be honest with you. Okay. I looked at YouTube enough, and I was like, oh, I could do that. I could do that. I could do that. I figured out what was important.
Did you feel like you were getting the same outcomes as what you saw? Okay.
To an extent, you know, sometimes you're limited by the equipment, but I was still doing really good. There were some things I would change with the knowledge that I have now. Some things I probably would have done differently, but it was good enough for somebody to be like, I like this, let me pay you.
Nice. Okay.
And once the camera got paid off, I was still doing it, still getting some more side money doing these things. And then one day I just Googled black photographers. I never did it before. I just Googled black photographers, and I started seeing Gordon Parks and Carrie Mae Weems and Roy De Carava and all these different. I'm looking at these photos. I'm like, yo, what is this they doing? This is not stand here, cheese, smile, chin up, look this way.
Yeah.
What is this? Like, and how are they putting this together? And what is this feeling I'm feeling when they do this? Why do I feel sorry for this person? And I started analyzing it that way. And I was like, whatever this is, I want to do this. I want to do this. They didn't even know how to begin researching how to do this.
It's like more of a story.
Yeah, it's like, how do I get to that? Like, how do I get to this documentary more candid? What is this? And as I started learning that and realizing that, like, these moments that I deem so beautiful happen every day. You just got to look for them.
Yep.
So now I'm keeping the camera on me every day, everywhere I go. And we're cleaning weapons, I'm taking pictures. We're at training exercises, I'm taking pictures. We're at ceremonies and people dress up, I'm taking pictures, to the point where it got to the point like, yo, Facey's gonna be the one taking pictures, bro. Like,
yeah.
That's how obsessive I got with it. Because
Right.
whatever that feeling was, I wanted to get that feeling from my own photos. And I also felt like I had to play catch up. I was 25.
I get that.
These people already been doing this eons,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
A lot of their stories say, oh, I started when I was 9, 10. My grandfather gave me a Kodak, bro. Like, they got all these amazing stories about having the whole life full of this.
Yeah.
I didn't have that.
Yeah. I started when I was 30. So,
See?
yeah.
See?
I understand that for sure.
So and here I am taking in all this information. I am reading everything. I am watching everything. I'm looking at everything. I'm just taking everything. All right, this and this and this. Aperture, shutter speed, ISO. What does ISO do? I struggle with getting manual. Get that. What is this? What is this? Explore the triangle. I got to figure out, this lets this in. And I'm learning these things. And again, more I'm learning that. It's just getting better and better and better. I'm getting better and better. And I started looking at books, physical books of photographers. And I'm going through it. I'm like, I want to do this. I don't know what it looks like. So as you get to the end part of your career in the Army, well, your contract, they start preparing you to go a school route or a job route, you know. And I picked the school route, and I had to make a decision. I was like, maybe I'll go to school for dental hygiene. They make a lot of money. I could work.
Was it just the money?
Yeah, because remember, I was still thinking about my kids.
Right.
You know, I'm like, all right. I could probably work at 2-3 different offices at a dental hygiene spot, making $30 an hour. Okay, it don't require much. I'm not a dentist, but excuse me, but cool. But then you realize your true self. I'm not digging in nobody's mouth every day.
Right.
You know, I'm not doing that, bro. So I was like, this is an opportunity for me to put pretty much my money where my mouth is, in the sense that how can I tell my daughters that they can be whatever they want to be, but I didn't even attempt to try to be something I want.
Ugh.
They're not gonna want to hit. I'm not gonna be a good source of inspiration for that, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
A resource. So I bit the bullet. All right, I'm gonna go to school for photo and video. I don't want to go to the school to learn how to use a camera. I figured that out on my own. But when I was looking up the School of Visual Arts in New York, it said working professionals. So these are like teachers that are still in the business. So like, and also you have to answer my questions. You know, by myself before going to school, I would reach out to other photographers online and stuff, and like nobody would respond to an email or nothing.
Right. It's very isolating.
But now, if I'm in school and you're this big shot photographer, teacher, professor, whoever, you gotta answer me as a student or your job on the line.
Yeah.
And the military's gonna pay for me to go, I'm out. So I did that. I went that route. I applied. I think I came home in November, and then my last final days out to December, I was in school at January.
Wow.
So it was fresh out of uniform, fresh into school. Didn't really have a break. So here I am, this grown veteran in here.
Yeah.
Around 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds. A lot of them were turning 21, which was really weird to see. Like, that's its own book for itself.
Right.
But
how was that for you?
it was weird at first.
Yeah.
It was weird at first. But then me who I am, I wasn't really there for them. I was there to get this information so I could go cook. And the good thing about being older was that the professors understood that I was older. And so
They respected you more?
They spoke to me differently. I spoke to them differently. We had a different level of expectation for each other.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't expect me to, oh, you're not one of these kids, you're coming in here late or complaining about having to wake up like.
Right.
So if I would hit them up and say, hey, I can't come in today, I got a gig. I started getting a lot of gigs while in college.
Nice.
Like, I got a gig, and they'll be like, all right, that's cool. Just, come in and let us know how it went when you come in, but make sure you find time to get the assignments, blah, 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 blah. It wasn't really too many issues. I did deal with some professors there. Yeah, I did deal with some professors there that didn't understand my vision. That's what I was doing. But I was also struggling to try to find out how to be an artist with photography.
Like find your own style and stuff like that?
Yeah, like, because it's such a very low barrier of entry, with photography. You gotta find out who you are. You gotta know your why to present something of substance.
Right. So
that's what I thought that school was gonna be able to get. And I did learn some things. I can't sit here and say I didn't pick anything up
Sure.
from them schools, but I did. I picked up a lot of artistic things and how to look at stuff.
Yeah.
And it just went from there. And,
So talk to me about a little bit about when you first started getting those gigs in college.
Most of it started coming. I was getting like little portrait stuff here and there. Or cover this event, cover that.
Yeah.
Because as a student, you get a lot of opportunities, which is pretty cool. But then during when 2020 hit, everything went to like online and stuff like that. I was still outside shooting. I would put the Zoom on the phone and put the phone in the pocket, and I'm in class, but I'm outside at the same time shooting. And then somebody seen one of the professors at SVA, seen the work and said, hey, can I send this to somebody? Sure. And she sent it to somebody, and then they were like, hey, can we post these? Can we put this in our publications? We'll pay you this and this and this. I was like, all right. And it was like, hey, are you still gonna be outside? I am. Hey, we wanna hire you for this day and this day to cover the protest and this. And they started coming from different places, like, yo, we like the way that you're photographing these protests. We like your point of view about how you're doing the protest, talking to you. We see that your heart is in it.
Yeah.
And the gigs was coming. 2020 was a lot for a lot of people. Yeah. But it was one of the most blooming years I've ever had as a creative. Right. As somebody
especially your type of
somebody art. That's doing something very like 9 to 5. Like, you know?
Yeah. So before you got those type of gigs, you said you were doing like portraits and stuff like that.
Portraits and some events.
Were they coming to you, or were you going to them?
Oh, there were people that would come to me, but you know, it's give and take. You got to promote and stuff and things like that. Gotcha. So I would, and that's when my prices were considerably cheap. I'm doing $40, $50, $60 portraits. You know, trying to get the grind in, and having ideas and stuff. And then one day you just wake up and realize, like, nah. Because I started getting more knowledge about what to look for, how images are being used, how when they're being used, licensing. Yeah. I started learning all these different things. And I was like, oh no, I gotta charge. I gotta charge more. This is crazy. I'm not. But a lot of the time, there was a lot of things that I was getting hired to shoot were things I probably would have been at already for the love, you know? And I think that helped, being able to be around and document stuff that I already give a damn about worked out for me. And they seen the passion in it, and they started, and to this day, that's how I get opportunities.
Wow. That's nice, man. That's really nice. So you were in art school, you're doing your thing. You started getting the right type of people, it seems like, that events or whatever it is that you wanted to do.
Yeah, the publications was really what I thought I wanted to do mainly, you know, because that's what was coming in. It was making money, and it was the first thing that I had solid. I could show my mom, like, look, like I'm in this, like, I'm in this book. Her boss gave her a magazine that my photo was in, the New Yorker magazine that it was in. He said, can you have your son sign this? You know what I mean? Like, I think that was when it switched for her.
Nice.
Maybe.
How was that feeling for you?
It was great, because if I feel like if I can convince my mom and get my mom to be a fan, I'm in here. I'm in here. Yeah. Like, you know, so like that's the only that's the one person whose opinion about that work, because she works in an art museum, you know what I'm saying? Like, and for her to be like, oh, I don't think that's a lucrative career choice like that. And based on what she's seen, all of the money making artists are dead. You know what I'm saying? So like, I could see why she would say that. She was born in 1965. She was raised in a different time. Work, you gotta grind. Yeah. And I get that, but I'm trying to let her know, like, your hard work is not gonna be in vain. I'm gonna figure this out. Right. You know, so that's what that was. So once I was able to convince her, and she tell me, oh, you got any shows coming up? Or that's a good feeling, you know, because that lets me know that I'm working towards those goals that I've had set for myself.
You remember what she said?
Yeah, she was just saying, she asked me if I had, what she said about
the work?
book? No, she was just like, my boss wanted you to sign this, and, you know, this your picture in here, find it, and I'm gonna give it back to him, pat it in the little plastic and everything. Like, it was pretty cool to see, to see that. And then I would come still visit the job when I go to New York and visit, and then like I'll talk to her boss, I'll talk to her, we'll walk around. And she's proud. I would think if she was here, she'd say that herself. I think she'd say that herself, but I'm pretty sure she might have had her doubts. Right. You know, like, I'm sure. Photography, like, she was like, you don't want to get a city job, you don't want to be a correctional officer, nothing like that. Like, nah. So I just left the army with captains and sergeants. I'm not joining nothing else with captains and sergeants. Right. So I'm all right. And then plus, to me, that seemed like it would be really depressing. You know, I don't want to be.
Maybe unless you're a photographer in the jail or something.
Yeah, like that would be fire. But I don't want to be in there working there every day, 12-hour shifts. Yeah. Sometimes maybe even overtime. Looking at people caged up, that's not going to do it for me. You know, I'd much rather come in there with the camera and document how these people are being caged up, and remind y'all that these are still people, and that jail should be rehabilitation, not just a place you put criminals.
Yeah.
You know, like you're supposed to be trying to help them. So like, I would come in from that angle, but as a correctional officer, I don't think that really allows you to, you know, that don't allows you to do that.
Not at all. That's great, man. And then, so what happened after art school? You just continue to just get more gigs?
Oh yeah, I was still getting gigs. I just got my, I got my degree in 2021 from SVA. Around the same time I moved to North Carolina from New York.
Now, why North Carolina?
To be honest with you, I have no idea. I thought I was gonna go to Florida. And then I seen that video of a gentleman getting shot in a parking lot over a parking space. And I will argue with you over a parking space. So I thought that could have been me.
You talking about in Florida?
Yeah, like I would argue with you over a parking space. So let me just go ahead and let me just take that off the list if that's what people are getting shot for. Right? Yeah. I picked North Carolina. At the time, I didn't even know Raleigh was the capital. I wasn't even looking at it like that. I just needed to go. I just needed somewhere else. North Carolina seemed to be what I could afford from what I was looking at. All right, cool. Let's just make it happen. Yeah. And I made the move. It took me 2 days back and forth between New York and North Carolina driving with my stuff. I didn't have no moving truck, no team. It was.
Did you come down here first and check it out?
No, everything was done. Online. I spoke to, and I'm gonna get back to that too in a second. I'm gonna tell you how small the world is and how the universe don't really make mistakes. So the gentleman that I'm on the phone with, he's helping me figure out this apartment stuff. This is what you gotta have down. You need this in your checking. You need this in your savings. He's very helpful. His name is Tyler. Very helpful. And then I told him what day I'm coming down, who's gonna be there. I came down, he was there. He helped me, tell me what I needed to sign up with the paperwork. It was going really great. And as he and I talking, he seen my camera, he asked about my Instagram. I gave him my Instagram. And lo and behold, one of his mentors was somebody I photographed.
Oh, nice.
And he's seen that, and then I already made a North Carolina connection my first day in North Carolina.
There you go.
You see what I'm saying? He's still cool today. Since being here, and if there's an opportunity that comes up for like photographing some dancing or something like that, like he'll hit my phone,
Nice.
Or if it's anything to show support, he'll do that. And like that was already a great introduction to a new space. Yeah. Being from New York, where like it's very dog eat dog. It's not really very cooperative like that unless you were in the clique or something. And that was like what my experience here has been as I kept moving forward in the career. It was like, oh, you do this, you need to meet this person. Oh, you do this, oh, talk to him. Oh, he would be great for. It was never, at least recently I've been dealing with some issues, but for the most part, I'm not gonna let that ruin the whole thing.
Sure.
A lot of people have been very helpful,
right.
Making sure I'm around other creatives or who are other creatives I should talk to. And that was a good experience.
Nice,
North Carolina was really great to move to, because one, I could afford it. My car would get good use. And I ultimately, like I said, I'm on this hunt for peace. And it was giving me the opportunity to really have to sit with my thoughts and work through things and figure out how I want to move forward, because it allowed me that time. Monday through Friday, I wasn't missing anything like New York would have you feel like you're missing out on something. Here I was everybody's at work Monday through Friday until Friday, 4:30, 5 o'clock. Then it's a whole new world out here.
Right.
So I looked at it like, oh, so you allow yourself the time to do what you got to do, and the weekends is your reward. Kind of like here, at least out here. That's how I looked at it.
Yeah, sure. When you say give you time for peace and figuring out things and stuff like that, is it also like healing? A healing thing too?
Yeah, I would think it's very healing. Yeah. I would think finding peace would be very healing. It's very difficult because
healing as in like maybe the trauma that you've had in the past.
You got to start working on that. You got to at least, if you don't work through it, you at least start unpacking a lot of things, because you have to here. At least here for myself, sitting in the quiet, I can hear the crickets and grasshoppers and stuff outside. Like I could hear these things at night. It's so, and my apartment was so quiet. It was like never really heard it like that. It was in New York. Like it's always a car, garbage truck, a bus, a siren, something going on, And I was sitting with that, figuring out like, okay, this is what I got to do. This is how I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
All right, maybe if I try this, what do I think about that? That was the most vulnerable I've been with myself. I don't mind sharing that, because I when I left, my daughters are still in New York.
Yeah.
So when I moved here, I felt like it was a really emotional pull for me. I cried a few days. It was a lot. I wrote a lot, trying to figure things out. I was angry. It was I went through a lot of different emotions, because I just knew I needed to get my mind right, and that would kind of start working for everything else. But this I had to remove myself from what, and if I didn't remove myself, if my daughter never looked at me and said, "Daddy, you're not happy here,"
Yeah.
I don't know what would have happened, you know. And
Those words changed your mind.
Yeah, because I, it's for my kid.
Yeah.
Like, it's not about me no more. It's never really been about me. Once, you know, I held my kid for the first time, it's like, it's not about me. Like, my wins is her wins. My losses are going to be her losses. It's going to affect her. I can't afford to lose. And if I lose my mom, she's going to lose her dad.
Wow.
That's the big loss, you know? And for a child to see it, but the adults around me don't see it, he also spoke volumes to me. Because everybody's really in their own world.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, cool. I gotta go. I gotta figure something out.
Yeah.
And I spoke to my daughter and I told her what I'm doing, and she was cool with it. And that was really the only person that I really cared about whose thought process was real. Well, both my daughters, what their thought process was gonna be when I left. Like, I was like, what are they gonna think about this? And how are they gonna think about that? And does it feel like I'm doing this? But ultimately, if I'm not right, they're not gonna be right.
Yeah.
So I had to do what I had to do.
It seemed like they understood that.
Yeah, they understand it now.
How old were they when that happened? It was just a few years ago, right?
Yeah, it was a few years ago, just a few years ago.
Okay, yeah. So they were like teenagers, preteens, somewhere around there?
Preteen. My oldest was already a teenager. She was, I believe she was gearing up to go to high school.
Yeah.
And there was a situation between her mother and I that kind of didn't really benefit.
Right.
That didn't really facilitate me being able to converse with her the way I would like to converse with her.
Sure. So how in depth did you talk to them about that, about moving and like why?
Well, with my youngest daughter, it was very simple. My oldest daughter I didn't really get to go in depth with, but with my youngest daughter, I was able to tell her, like, I'm moving, and this is why, and are you okay with that? If she had not been okay with that, I would have probably tried to find another route or something else. But she was okay with that. I know people are like, you asked the child if, but it's not just a child, I'm her dad, and how she feels about that is gonna be very important to me. And she was like, understand, like, you know, you're not happy here. You know, when I see you, you're tired. Like, she was really able to break that down. And I was
very
like,
mature of her.
Yeah, and I was like, all right, I don't feel too crazy about it, but I'm still gonna miss, you know, being able to be here. I'm not gonna be an hour away anymore. I'm now like 8-9 hours away, you know? Yeah. And it's my responsibility to figure out how I'm gonna do this back and forth, and I do it. Yeah. You know? Man. But that's just what comes with being a dad, I guess. Like, I don't know, like, you just gotta figure it out.
So she didn't move with you?
No, she's still in New York with her mom.
Right. And your other daughter's with you?
Nope, they're both there. Yeah, they're both in New York. I felt like fighting for them to come down here would have been detrimental to them because they've already got their friends there. They're kind of solidified there. I don't want they're teenagers, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you start removing them, that they already got that teenage angst already. Like, you got to be, they're very volatile like, at teenagers. I remember when I saw as a teenager, there's not going to be really much, you know? So I was like, all right, I'm not here on vacation. I'm not in North Carolina with my feet up, like, you know, right. I'm working. Yeah. And, you know, and I know my daughter knows that I'm working because she says things like, oh, daddy, like, I can Google you. Like, I show my friends and your pictures come up and you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, all right, that lets me know again that I'm doing what I'm supposed to, because some kids will Google their dad and it's a mugshot. You feel me? Like, that's not my situation. So it lets me know, like, I'm doing something. You know, I still got to be dad. Sometimes the answer's going to be no to some things. I got to be the big bad wolf. Cool, got it. Parenthood is not always peaches and cream. Yeah. Got it. You know, but I want them to at least look at me and see that I'm a man of my word. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And that whatever they don't know about me, when the time comes as they become adults, that they learn from the work that I've made. Like, what type of person I am, what I care about, what matters to me. Yeah. And if they had any doubts about anything, that this can solve that for them.
Man, that's nice, dude.
I'm trying. I swear I'm trying, bro.
That's all you could do, right? When you're healing, how long was that process for you?
Oh, I don't know, because I'm still healing.
Yeah.
I'm still healing. Every day is a new a new day into figuring out people. I don't know if people got this misconception that like, oh, I'll go to therapy and I'll go to this and now I'm healed now. Like, I think healing is way more than just therapy. It's a lot of shadow work that you got to do to be honest about who you are, where you're trying to go, and where you've come from. And every day is hard because that resistance wants you to. It's those type of things that try to keep you from being the better version of yourself because you're so used to this. You're used to this old way of living. Like, oh, this has always been what's got me down. This is where imposter syndrome comes. This is where I got all this self-doubt. Or maybe I'm not worthy. All these different things. But then you got to like push through that somehow. You got to just, remind yourself. So every day I'm battling with that. And you get better with it. But some days you slip and fall.
Sure.
And
it comes out in different forms too.
Yeah, you start learning more. But it's like you start going to the next level of like trauma. Like, oh, you beat level 1. Here's level 2 that you suppressed. Remember that? Like,
right.
Let's deal with this one now. Because there's certain things that as you make it through, you start seeing the world a little different. But you got to be open to those type of things. And some people are not open. For myself, it was difficult to get open at first because I've been such a guarded person. New York makes you such a guarded person. My childhood makes me a very guarded person. And it wasn't until you start making, like you're honest, like, okay, there's something here, there's something there. Like, I don't know what it is. I'm not a professional. I got to figure it out.
Right.
So then I go and I move and I start working on that. So every day I'm working on it. It's not like, I don't think there's been a time, like an end time limit.
Yeah, I think that's important to say, man, especially when you're coming from a place where there is a lot of trauma and a lot of healing that needs to happen, stuff like that. Because even like I changed my whole life when I was 24, did a complete 180, but I still find myself still healing on those parts, especially when it comes to family things and stuff like that. I think that's a big one as well.
And I like that you share that because I think what's important, and hopefully your listeners can catch on to this too, is that a lot of things happen to a lot of people as you grow up,
Yeah.
And some things are out of your control. But then you become an adult and you have to be responsible for that you're carrying. You're going to either have to make peace, get through, get over, however you need to word it. Because it's going to be on you because there's going to be a certain time you're going to look up and you're going to be like 30-something plus, 40-something plus. And like, yeah, well, my mom did this when I was a kid. It's like, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. And if you talking about it's going to help heal you, let's talk about it. But let's also talk about solutions. Let's talk about how you're going to move forward. Are you letting this be a reason? Because a lot of things have happened to me in my life, where I could have used those as reasons to be a failure.
Sure.
Those would have been easy excuses. I've seen people lose it all for less, It's about how you choose to move on with that.
Yeah.
And I want people to start, especially adults, to start looking at that. Like, when they say that forgiving thing is for you and not them, I don't know if it's about forgiveness. I just think it's more so about you and your individual self and how these things make you feel. Because when you know these triggers, you know how to either avoid it or how to move in a room full of them. You just gotta, you gotta do that work.
I just like pictured an idea for you to do.
What's up?
It's like this: write a book about life, but like incorporate your pictures into it.
I'm working on something like that, man. I got ideas, brother. I got ideas. I'm trying to do the best I can.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I'm still making the work right now, and it's important.
Yeah,
it's important to do that work, and I think,
especially in Black and brown communities.
Yes, especially, and I think the best people to tell those stories, honestly, be creatives.
Yeah.
Because we get it out in such a way, like some people don't know how to get things out and you just need to see it or you need to hear it, to be like, oh, I feel like that.
Yeah.
Like, and that's how I could feel too? Okay, cool. Like, and it starts opening up this whole gate of like opportunities. You're like, oh, wow, like, okay. And I'm not very religious, but I'm more so spiritual. I believe in energies and, the universal laws and things of that nature. So by moving here too, I wanted to get back to this too. When I moved here, I did an ancestry test. My family always said, oh, you got family in one of the Carolinas, down south. And come to find out it's North Carolina. And, my grandfather and his family is buried here in Henderson. So I go over there to visit and I'm getting this other side of family history, which is like,
interesting.
Being somebody that was adopted, this is very important. You know what I mean? Like, this is very important for me. And I'm just like, oh, okay. And I think that was another sign of the universe not playing games with me. Like it's not playing with me. Like it doesn't make mistakes.
Yeah, yeah.
So then I find this book called Blood Done Sign My Name. Here in North Carolina, I found the book, and then the writer talks about a shooting that happened in Oxford, North Carolina, of a gentleman who was a veteran. He said something to a white lady and got shot and killed. And that gentleman has the original last name that my name used to be before I was adopted. Oxford is not that far from Henderson.
Right.
It's the story could be extremely close to the bone for me. So that's something I'm exploring now also. And I'm just like, I'm here for a reason. Whatever the reason is, if it's here to like connect lines for the family, cool. If it's here to just at least let me know about my family history, cool. But like, that's not by mistake, you know, that I'm here, you know, in North Carolina of all places. Like,
yeah.
And here I am learning about family and facts and things about Black history that you may have heard whispers of, but here you get the full, you get the full story. And
absolutely.
Will North Carolina be the final spot for me? I don't know. I'm thinking about leaving the country, but
same.
it's
for right
been
now,
good.
right?
It's been good.
That's nice, man. And you said you're still exploring kind of like the family lineage.
Yeah, I'm still getting, reading things. I'll pop up to the towns every now and then.
Have you met anybody that maybe?
I only met I spoke to some family members on like Ancestry and then Facebook through figuring things out.
Yeah.
But I met with one of the groundskeepers at that cemetery that's next to the church. I found out my family helped build that church, and it's interesting. I haven't gone back there yet because things cost money. Gas is a thing. Yeah. So I don't get to go as often as I would like, but things have been starting to look up a little bit lately and allowing me to be able to really start moving my projects the way I need to move them.
So is this whole experience in North Carolina changing your photography?
Because I would say because it's I'm changing as a person. In my photography, I try to keep it as honest to me as possible by photographing the things I care about or have an interest in, and just being completely open to what experiences are coming towards me. Yeah. So that ultimately shows how the work ends up being. If I start getting way more involved, this is because I felt way more accepted in this group of individuals than this group or this person's family versus, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, and as I'm learning and I'm changing, the work is going to change. Yeah. I just try to make sure that it's honest at this core level, that a lot of my work, I wanted to gear it around the Black experience, life, love, the ups, the downs, the trials, the tribulations. I just want somebody that looks like us to be able to document our existence so that nobody else can't tell you what we are. Oh man! So that helps me. Yeah. So by learning these things and meeting these people, that's what I'm aiming for. Yeah. Damn, dude. Aiming for. Keep doing the work, bro. Thank you. It's hard because photography don't really get the respect that it deserves a lot of times. Right. You're up against painters and sculptors and iPhoneers and rightfully so, and against them because that's a talent as well. But I'm trying to make sure I remind people that traditional still photography is still just as important as any of the art medium. Yeah, it's a story, man. You're capturing a story, capturing a moment in history. I think so, and that's important. And I'm also, I'm a little impatient with it, but I also understand that what I'm doing today is just like a deposit into the withdrawal for tomorrow. So like the work I make today, people are probably not going to see it as nothing yet because you're living in it right now. Like you're living in this zeitgeist. And when 15 years from now, 20 years from now, when they see the work, it's gonna be like, oh man, like somebody really was outside and had the wherewithal to be like, I think this is important to capture. Like this is important to tell me about the past and and I realized like that's probably where it's gonna come. Yeah. I have work that I made in 2020 during the protest that I probably not gonna put out until maybe 2030 because I know how much the world has changed in just that decade itself. Right. And then I think people will look at that work different because we made it out of that. The world was going through this whole thing, and I think people kind of just went about it, and this is going to be a good reminder like where we were as a people at this time, what shook up the world, Yeah. And I think that's what the importance of the traditional still photography is going to end up being. Right. Man.
Yeah. It's a lot to take in, you know? I mean, it's great. I love the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's, I appreciate you coming in, man.
Man, thank you for having me.
Honestly.
Anytime I could talk about the work, I'm always down. But I think we talked more about me than we did the work. But
Well, that's part of it. You are part of the work, right?
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that, bro.
I know you talked about a little bit about what you kind of want out of your photography, to tell your own stories and stuff like that. Is there something else, or is there something more in depth about what's the end result of what you're looking for?
I just want people to feel something. I just want you to feel something. Like it, hate it, love it, need more of it, feel something. Because today, I would liken humans to be very, I call people androids today, like, or bionic, if you will, because the definition will tell you, like, what is considered an android or bionic? Somebody that has to rely on some type of technology to get through the day-to-day. And if you look around you, people use their phone every day for their day-to-day.
Sure.
And they let the internet and social media dictate how they should feel about something. I don't think people have their own conscious thoughts about something. Like, whatever your echo chamber or your think tank you got online, they could justify how you feel, so you think you're right, but like, it's not honest, it's not fair. Like, you know, you're not really. So what I would like for the photos to do is to have people to really sit with them, look at them, and let it take you somewhere else to where you were before. Like, have that moment to think about when you was this kid in this photo, or this individual, or inspired to be who this old individual is in this image. Like, but you gotta sit with it, and it causes you to think and feel something, even if you don't like it, even if you think it's trash. It's an honest feeling. It's not being dictated by likes and comments and shit like that. It's you being like, all right, I like this.
Yeah.
This made me feel like this. Cool. If that's enough to get through, boom. The bonus points are just like, oh, this is what Black culture was at this time. Oh, this is what the Black experience is. Oh, here are some, I like to combat a lot of stereotypes too. You know, I'll be at my Dad Duty project where, you know, they say Black fathers are not in the home. I challenge that. I challenge that. Oh, they're not helping raising their kids. I challenge that. You know, things about women's safety in New York. You know, people think a lot of women were over exaggerating about how unsafe they felt in some of these major cities. I agree with them. I got daughters that need to know how to navigate this world, and if these women are gonna be able to tell me how to better equip my kids to walk through this world as they become young women, I'm on it. I'll challenge that.
Right.
Let's go.
Right.
Y'all saying that they're not? Here's the opportunity to show you that they are. Cemeteries. I've been photographing a lot of Black cemeteries here, you know, about showing how it's still been disrespectful, like how racism is still affecting them in the dead. Let's go. They think racism is over. I challenge that.
Right.
You know, that's what I'm doing. That's what I want the work to be. It's not going to always be pretty portraits of people in the nude with flowers or whatever. Cool. I'm trying to be a little bit more John Blaze than that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I need it to be
something realistic.
Yeah, because those images I feel like can be copied by AI, but working in this documentary form, a more candid, personal form with some people, that can't be replicated. You have to have a human connection to kind of make that happen, you know? And I want people to feel that, like, feel like a human.
Yeah.
Remember that you got feelings, you're a person, moving arms and legs, blood and flesh, like,
right.
Be a person.
Yeah, I need to check up on one of my friends. His name is Jamon, and he runs a father group.
Nice.
Right? And so to help fathers how to be fathers and stuff like that. And they have a group and stuff like that. So
And is it local?
it's local, yeah.
Please link me with him because he might be able to help me out.
Yeah, I know he wants to grow in that, so check in. Maybe I'll connect you by.
Yeah, please, because as you know, if I could take a minute to, the Dad Duty Project it's a photo project that celebrates Black fathers and their navigation through fatherhood, letting them have the opportunity to tell their stories, you know, their gripes, maybe their concerns, their hopes and desires for their children and how they've navigated it, and eventually be able to create this resource for other dads to figure it out. I was a young dad, I didn't have all the answers. I know grown dads that don't have all the answers.
Right.
But I think being able to talk to other fathers and bounce these ideas off of is going to be extremely important to have.
Yeah. Absolutely.
White or Black, you know, it doesn't really matter. It falls under the umbrella of fatherhood. But I know Black fathers got a different stigma put on them. So I kind of want to celebrate them. I spoke to a lot of dads that feel like they're second-class citizens, that I'm only supposed to be the disciplinarian, I'm only the financier. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I've met dads that cried about the project, like, I'm really glad you did this, and having that. So I feel like that there's something there that needs to be explored. I think dads should be, especially black fathers, should be looked at in a different light.
Absolutely.
Some things need to be altered. We need to get rid of some archaic ways that things are being put out into the media. And it's very important for all black dads that are listening to this, all white dads, if you know a black dad or any dad you think should be celebrated, send them my way. Send them my way if you can. Yeah. That's the goal. I got some dads in London that want to participate, dads in LA. So the goal is to try to get dads from at least each region of the United States if I can. And then expand to other countries. I want to try that out.
Yeah, he was also on my podcast, so I'll send you the link.
Please do.
And all that. And then another thing with photography is how you want them to feel and stuff like that. And it's also like not just about feelings, but using all their senses with it as well. Like seeing a picture of being in a black church in the 80s or something like that, that it brings back the smell of what that is. And then that smell leads to a story of what happened that time and stuff like that. So it could lead you down a rabbit hole in that way.
That's true. That's true. And I think the way that those photos from the 80s make people feel today is how the work that I make today is going to make them feel in that same time frame. You know, we just got to get there when they're like, oh, in the 2020s.
Yeah.
We just got to get there.
And
I think that's going to be important for people to really look at it. And I think hopefully if I'm not worm food, that I'm still alive to to see those benefits.
I mean, to me, when I see like riots and stuff like that, I automatically smell like a tear gas when I was downtown Raleigh in the riot down there and the chaos that was happening around me. Like, it just brought me back to that.
It'll take you there.
Yeah,
you know, I think that's something I was dealing with this week too, because I photographed a lot of protests. Before 2020, I had photographed some protests, but 2020 was where, in my life experience, where it got the most brutal, at least.
Sure.
I dealt with the pepper spray. I got grabbed up, hit with bikes, you know what I'm saying? Grabbed up, yoked up, ripping my shirts. And after you do that in New York, and then I went to Minnesota, and then I'm in DC, and I'm documenting these places. This week with all the Palestine protests and stuff they've been having on campuses, I do feel an urge to go out there and document it, you know, because it's very important being on the right side of history, I would assume. But I also chose peace this week. I chose peace this week, and I'm glad I did, because you don't need to take all of that energy out there and then bring it home. There was enough photographers there, I think, that could handle it.
Sure.
Y'all got it.
Yeah.
Y'all got it, bro. I went to
pick your battles, right?
Yeah, I went to an antique store and loved on myself and bought some like National Geographic magazines. Like that's it. Like that's kind of what I was doing. Like I don't always want to take that home with me.
Yeah, with different protests that you've been to, especially North and South. How do you see a difference between the North and the South?
Big difference. One of the big differences is that some of these, being here in the South, some of these protesters are allowed to carry weapons.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's true.
Don't know if they're allowed, but they do.
Right.
And that's already a different dynamic to take into consideration, especially when you start running up against groups that are kind of like really ill-informed about what's going on in the world, and they live, again, the internet housed them living in this think tank, this echo chamber of their own thoughts, and that's when you start having these issues, and any day it could happen to me that one of them decides to, take me out or injure me or whatever their feelings are. So I'm extra vigilant at protests here.
Do you wear like a media mask, a vest?
Nah, I don't wear none of that. I just go outside with maybe a regular photo vest and my cameras, and I move like I'm supposed to be here. So it don't, but I've had my fair share of arguments back and forth with counter protesters as they yell in the media and things like that. And sometimes they just say some real ignorant things. They just say some real ignorant. People say some real ignorant things,
right.
And it'll get a rise out of me if you say the right thing. And that's been one of the major differences. Because I think here in the South, there's always this underlying issue of race in it too. You know, so
Always.
you got to think about that too. In New York, sometimes the issue was just the issue, but then here I'm peep how it's racial undertones.
Yeah.
In some of these protests, which is not really necessary. A lot of hate being some of these, and it's just like,
True.
do you got the energy to deal with that today? Do you want to deal with that today? Like, so that's been a major difference.
Well, again, man, I appreciate you coming through.
All right, thank you for having me.
Can you tell everybody where they can find you and all that?
Yeah, you can go to cocobuttershutter.com. That is COCOBUTTERSHUTTER.com. The Instagram is the same name, as well as the Twitter. And feel free to send a DM or a message. And if you know any dads that would like to participate in the Dad Duty Project, please shoot me an email or fill out the questionnaire.
My man.
My man.
I appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. That's it.
Oh, we good to go?
We're good to go.